Wizards of the Coast has released the full details for the upcoming charity Secret Lair Extra Life 2021, and I have to say, it's pretty much perfect. It has an amazing concept, it includes cards that are totally worth owning, and the value of the cards included in the Secret Lair are worth more than the cost of the Secret Lair.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have something delightful to talk about today. The newest Secret Lair, Extra Life 2021. This is Wizards of the Coast Charity Secret Lair, and as I said, it's pretty much perfect. There's a lot to recommend it. It has an amazing concept to start out with. The cards that are inside it are all great. I want them all for my cube. The cost of the Secret Lair versus the cards you're actually getting in it, you come out considerably ahead in terms of the monetary value. And on top of all of that, it supports a children's hospital. So by buying awesome magic cards, you're helping to make little sick kids healthier. Now that is 100% win across the board in my book. So let us go ahead and get the first card we're going to talk about up on the screen. This is Muldrifter, and we can talk about the concept of the Secret Lair and what's going on overall. So you can see, looking on the screen, we have two different versions of Muldrifter. What's the deal? Well, the deal with this Secret Lair is they asked a bunch of child artists to render them some artwork, and then they paid professional magic artists to take that child's artwork and make it into a reality. So if you actually take a look at the bottom of the cards, you will notice that it says the age of the individuals who have done these cards. Both the child, it'll say, oh look, this little kid's 5.5 years old, and then it'll have the artist age as well, which could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s. It's a delightful little touch. So basically what they did was they told these children a rough concept of the creatures that they wanted them to illustrate, and then they had the children illustrate it. In fact, two of the cards that we're going to look at were illustrated by autistic kids that have an incredible backstory. If you want to, you know what? I'll put a link in the description for you that will take you to a story talking about these kids. These kids didn't even really start talking until they were about 4 years old, but through conversations with them, the flavor text for these cards were crafted. I don't know, man. I really like this concept. Underneath it all, I'm a softie, and thinking about kids like having to be in the hospital, it just, it'll get me all choked up if I think about it too much. Anyhow, I love the fact that this Secret Lair is designed to take half the money that comes in. 50% of the sales of each of these Secret Lairs is going to be given to the Seattle Children's Hospital, which is a huge win, and the concept behind this is awesome. I mean, look at the Muldrifter. You can see the silly little drawn version that the child did, and then the artist has done a faithful reproduction of it, right? Like, when you look at this Muldrifter, first of all, it looks so happy. And like I said, Muldrifter, it falls into the category of cards that are totally worth owning. Muldrifter is 1 blue and 4 for a 2/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards, and it evokes for a blue and 2. So the idea behind these creatures are they're the elementals from Lorwyn that embody different kinds of concepts. Instead of having a fire elemental, a wind elemental, instead you have something a little more nebulous in a way. This is an elemental that is born of thought, and the evoke concept, it basically means it can be there and gone in a flash, basically like a flash of inspiration. So I love how happy this Muldrifter looks. Originally, Muldrifters are from the Lorwyn block, so being shown in a happy, sunny, pastoral setting makes perfect sense. And look at the faithful recreation of the facial features of the Muldrifter. When you take a look at the one that was drawn by the child, you can see that the eyes are kind of misplaced. One of the eyes is too far over the side of the mouth, and the side of the Muldrifter's mouth has this weird kind of curvature squiggle to it. But then you have the actual magic artist who's able to take these somewhat admittedly deformed features and create a lovable and adorable Muldrifter. And what you have to understand is you get both of these Muldrifters in the secret lair. You get the child's rendition and the full-on rendition. And these are available in both regular and in foil, okay? So the Muldrifter, in terms of financial value, is the least valuable of the cards in this secret lair. Basically what I did for the price comparisons we're going to use in this video, I went to TCG Player and used their prices to get a gauge, and I just basically picked any regular version that you can get for the cheapest amount. So you can pick up a Muldrifter for a quarter, no problem. And actually, mentioning TCG Player, I will point out as well, I have a TCG Player link in my description. So if you're ever going to buy cards online and use that link, it helps the channel and it helps me buy food and other wonderful things. So just bear that in mind, my friends. So you get two of these individuals. I love it. You get the sketch version and you get the finalized version. And that will be across the board for each of the cards. So let's move on to the next card. This is the metal. Oh, and you know what? Sorry, I didn't tell you the flavor text. I didn't read the flavor text on the Muldrifter. It says, "Be you, be free, live happily." And I mean, look at the Muldrifter. He's got that vibe, right? Totally. Now, let us move on to the Metalwork Colossus. So, Metalwork Colossus is 11 mana for a gigantic 10/10, like a hulking, destroying robot in most cases, right? Obviously not with the rendition here. It's a gigantic construct that costs less to cast based on the number of artifacts you have out, and also lets you sacrifice artifacts to bring it back to your hand. So this is like an unending Colossus beast that can just be remade out of all the metal that's kicking around and will keep coming to destroy you. When you take a look at the artwork here, this guy is drawn as like a little bunny man. It's like, hey, I'm a happy little smiley bunny man. This is the most straightforward of the children's drawings that we're going to look at overall. The Muldrifter obviously had some more crazy abstractness. This is literally just a gigantic bunny statue. The flavor text that was written by the kid says, "I've come to save the world." And you can see the adult variation of it is very true to the original. They all are. They do a great job of capturing it. They take this drawn version and turn it into this gigantic metal bunny. And I just picture it stomping around Kaladesh, where it comes from, and just bellowing out, "I've come to save the world." But in the whole time he's doing that, he's stepping on buildings and crushing pack animals and everything else without realizing that they're there. Just the idea of this big, gigantic, metallic, destructive bunny, it's a lot of fun. You know, like, this is a really fun concept for a secret lair. I love it. It's pretty much perfect. I'd have a hard time thinking of a more fun concept than this off the top of my head. So, Metalwork Colossus, you can find these basically for $1 each for the regular version. So this is not a super high value card as well. But the next card we're going to talk about is where you're going to find some serious value. And that is Mr. Crater Hoof Behemoth, which this is the most ridiculous looking of all of the creatures in this secret lair. It's really funny to me. And Crater of Behemoth is a really amazing green card. And I'm a mono green boy, so I'm really happy to see this. Crater of Behemoth is 3 green and 5 for a 5/5 haste creature. When it enters the battlefield, all your creatures get trample and +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures you control. So this is essentially a gigantic, massive finisher of doom, right? This is a very respectable card. When you take a look at the artwork, you can see what looks like a jelly bean man who's throwing a bunch of spaghetti noodles in the air. That's how it looks to me. It looks like Jelly Bean Man is coming to wage war on the city with his endless waves of spaghetti noodles. And that that to me is pretty amusing. But it looks even crazier when you see the actual artist's rendition of it, right? They did a really good job of trying to interpret the different lines coming off the Crater Hoof's body to give it that, like, look at that crazy arm that's pretty much coming out from under its mouth in the middle of its body. And it's got like the right weird lean to the side, the same jelly bean body. The ears are placed in mismatched spots. Like, it's got some serious asymmetrical action going on, and obviously the artist chose to interpret all of the spaghetti noodles as a giant cliff, and who knows, maybe they had the opportunity to ask the kids what were like being represented in the artwork. But I just love this Crater Hoof behemoth from the perspective of thinking about it in the game, right? Like, you summon up this behemoth and all your other creatures, when they see it, they're like, oh yeah, the jelly bean monster's here, yeah buddy, I'm pumped, Lou, we're gonna win now. They don't look at it and go, what's that? They're like, yeah, the key to our salvation has arrived, rise up and destroy. You know, like, I just love it. And how big does this thing have to be if it's called a Crater Hoof behemoth? Like, each of its feet is going to leave craters in the earth. It's so awesome as a concept. And speaking of awesome, its price tag is also awesome. It's a $40 card. The cheapest you can get one for is $40 for a regular. So bear in mind, there are two of these in the Secret Lair, which means the behemoths on their own, $80 in total, right? That is some significant cash money pricing right there. And these are US prices, right? That's what I'm using from TCG Player. So the Crater Hoof behemoths, I mean, I guess I should say this since we're talking about pricing. On one hand, Secret Lair cards can be worth more because they're included in a Secret Lair and people aren't willing to sell them for less. But on the other hand, it's hard to tell whether people are going to value these particular Crater Hoof behemoths at the same value level as other ones, because they are decidedly silly, right? And especially when dealing with the kid illustration version, flinging the spaghetti around, it is very silly artwork, and that could affect it, because that sort of thing does go into people's purchasing decisions, right? So on the surface of it, if you just want Crater Hoof behemoths and you don't care about the artwork, or even better, find this artwork endearing like I do, then it's 100% win, right? Because you get these Crater Hoof behemoths nice and cheap in comparison. But if you don't like the artwork, it does make it more difficult. Now, in terms of the price breakdown, here's how the Secret Lair is priced. $40 for the regular version, or $50 for the foil version. Now, it's only available in traditional foil as opposed to etch foil. So you can get regular or you can get foil, $40 or $50. Now, I didn't do the foil price breakdown for this, partially because the way that foils work now is different than the way they used to work in the past. Foils used to command a much higher premium in the past, but now, because Wizards has done what they've done with the collector boosters and everything like that, I've noticed that there is a more of a parity between regular printings and foil printings, and sometimes foil printings are worth less. So it's harder to know as much how much these foil ones would be worth. So I figured a comparison just based on non-foil numbers would allow you to make your own decision based on that. So for a regular Secret Lair cost of $40, you are getting 2 Crater Hoof behemoths at $40 a piece. You are getting 2 Metalwork Colossuses at $1 a piece, and 2 Mull Drifters at $0.25 a piece. And remember, that's just the prices to get the cheapest versions of these cards. So the Secret Lair, like, there's no way the Secret Lair Mull Drifters are going to be worth $0.25, but that's the way I like to compare things to really give you a good valuation overall. So when you add it up, when you add up all of the 6 cards included in this Secret Lair, you get a total of $82.50 for a Secret Lair that cost you $40 to buy. So essentially, In this case, you're pretty much buying money. Unless Wizards of the Coast reprints Crater Hoof a bunch of times and drives the price downwards, even if the Crater Hoof behemoths were worth half of what they're worth now, you would still end up coming out a little ahead on the secret lair. And that's not to mention the fact that this is a charity secret lair, which means half of the money that they pull in for this will end up going to help sick kids in the hospital. So for me, this is an absolute home run as a product. A lot of the secret lairs recently have felt kind of wonky when you look at the values of them overall. If you want to know, actually, I did a price breakdown for all of the secret lairs coming in October's Secret Lair Super Drop. So I'll leave a link to my ranking of all those secret lairs at the end of this video. That way, if you want to know the price valuations, some of the secret lairs in the Super Drop only have like $5 worth of cards in them, but they want $30 for it. And some of them have like almost $40 worth of cards in it, and they still only want $30 for it. So it's all over the place. But for me, this secret lair hits all the right notes. Awesome concept, great cards included, good value for the money, and with the additional bonus of helping kids in the hospital. So let me know your thoughts. Big thank you to all my patrons, and I will see you all, my friends, for the next video.